Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, adequate notice of this December the 23rd meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice of this agenda in the meeting on the bulletin board of the Municipal Building, Route 10, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, the Hanover Eagle, by filing same Township Clerk. Have a roll call, please.
Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
And Mayor Franciola.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, would you all please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag? Please remain standing for a prayer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. Do you have my checklist of comments? Sure. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open the meeting shortly. All right, just points of order for the meeting before we begin. If you have any of your cell phones on, please set them to vibrate. The Township Committee will entertain comments from the public on any subject, beginning and end of the meeting. There'll be 2 openings, one now and one at the final session of the meeting. To address the Township Committee, you'll do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. All speakers will be allowed 4 minutes to make a statement, or at the public portion in the beginning of the meeting, or at the end of the meeting, or when an ordinance comes into the governing body for public hearing. You're certainly entitled to comment on ordinance as well. So we hope you'll cooperate with us on that. On that note, gentlemen, I'd like to open the floor. Motion to open.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee at this time, they can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, hearing none. Motion to close?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, we have departmental reports which are available for public inspection. They include the Treasurer's report as of December 12th. The Chief of Police has submitted his report of all activities conducted by the Police Department during the month of November. The Township Engineer has submitted his report on all engineering projects as of December 12th. The Superintendent of Public Works, Buildings and Grounds, and Park Maintenance has submitted his reports on all activities conducted during the month of November. And similarly, the construction official has submitted his report on the issuance of all building permits and construction activities during the month of November 2019. As we continue with the agenda, we have 3 resolutions as a consent agenda. Do we have any questions from members of the Township Committee on the 3 resolutions?
Have a motion?
Now move they be approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Faramasca,
Is there a second?
Second.
second by Mr. Mahalko. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Franciola.
Aye.
On payment of bills, $347,386.22. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Mr. Chairman, we're now open to the public again.
Okay, gentlemen, once again, a motion to open.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. If you'd like to address the Township Committee, please do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in the Whippany section of Hanover. I would like to make some comments this evening. in reference to the upcoming year. I remember when I was a child, and my father, because I live with my father, going over every year as to who was going to be mayor the following year. That was our big discussion in our household. Was it going to be Art Albon? You know, who was it going to be? And we used to think about the people and what they gave to the town, and the fact that every time it changed, there was a new vision, it seemed, for the town. And I'm hoping that the committee, when you go back and you make that decision for your reorganization, that perhaps we could go back to those old ways of how our government, which I believe is how it was intended, was that no person stays in power for a very long period of time, because until somebody steps aside, another person can't step in. And there's different ideas and different leadership styles. And I see people, now I see starting to see people in the room, but for a very long time I never saw anybody here. And I find it very disheartening that the public hasn't felt that they had any power, or it's the same old thing, is what I get. So I would hope that when you make these deliberations and you look at each other and you're making these decisions amongst yourselves, that you make the decision for the public, the residents, the citizens of the town. Because that's what I feel it's about. It's about representing us, the citizens. And even going back to the election in November, I mean, it's clear that, you know, certain districts were carried by certain individuals, and it wasn't even a contested race. But it's clear when I look at the map that one person is, you know, consumes much of the town compared to here. So I would hope, I implore you really, to, when you go back there and you deliberate amongst yourselves, whenever you do it, I don't know, it's like a big secret, but that you think about these things, that you're representing all the residents of the town, not just a certain section of the town, but the entire town. And like I said, for too long, this room has remained empty out here. And you may talk about it when you have your meetings, and you talk about it, face the camera and talk about it, that nobody's here. But people really don't want to be here because they feel as though they have no power, that it's the same old thing, that no matter when they go, it's not going to make a difference, that their voices aren't going to be heard. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Floor remains open. If anybody else would like to speak at this time, please do so.
Good evening. Am I allowed to ask questions during this part, or is it only for statements?
I don't see any reason why not, no.
Okay. My name is Christopher Matisich. I live at 32 Sunset Drive in Whippany. I've been spending a lot of time trying to research everything that's been going on with the obligation to meet the housing requirements. I'm still kind of fuzzy. I'm still learning a lot. I spent the last couple of days reading through the master plan and all the attached documents for that, the Route 10 corridor zone, the stormwater management, the fair share housing sections. I had a couple questions. I know on the November 14th meeting when we withdrew the proposals on Parsippany Road, a comment was made to if anyone had suggestions for a different spot to make those. And one thing I saw was that the car dealership on the corner of Ridgedale and Route 10, I think it was Norman Gale, seems to be empty. And I don't know what the plans are for that, but if it's an empty lot and the town needs to purchase land, I don't know if that could be used as that spot to put the overlay zone in. It's just a suggestion.
Chris, I think over time, the planning board has reviewed so many different areas for areas of need, which leads ultimately to a redevelopment zone. The one in question that you just mentioned has always been, I'll say, on our radar screen.
Okay.
You're speaking of the car dealership in conjunction with a America's Best motel, in conjunction with another section of land that forms that piece, which, by the way, is
Right.
a relatively good area of that. We have reviewed that, and I know, John, if you could speak to it from a planning standpoint and the other.
Yeah. From a planning board perspective, we review all parts of the town to see which areas in town are focal points for our attention. The Township Committee has spent a significant amount of time on what we call the Route 10 corridor study. Route 10 has been a very difficult solution in coming. And the reason why is you have a lot of narrow, shallow lots. So that precludes being able to provide much in terms of a synergistic effect of these lots to facilitate redevelopment. For example, on Hanover Avenue now is a very vibrant economic center area with prestigious brand names, major corporations located there. Wasn't always that way.
I read your report about that.
Polluted, closed. But what was key to the redevelopment of Hanover Avenue was, from a planning standpoint, to identify large tracts and coming up with 10-acre requirements. That facilitated it. So that allowed that spark to happen from an economic standpoint. When it comes to the specific area which you're talking to, the planning board has highlighted it. However, from an economic development standpoint, it works. But from an affordable housing, where we are in the 12th hour of affordable housing, it probably is not being able to be as considered as we'd like it to be. I think that what you bring up is a very good suggestion. From a personal standpoint, I think it's a great idea. However, from it being one of those overlay zones, the reality of it at this point in the game probably is not likelihood to happen, because time is running out, and as time runs out, we don't have anything that's currently underway that would identify that it met the criteria for what's being asked for this town to deliver in round 3 of affordable housing. If Mr. Samro has additional commentary that he wants to add to it, I invite him to.
Yeah, I think the Township Committee has discussed that very property. So you're on target, and recently. I can't get into a lot of the details, but as what Committeeman Faramasca is saying, that these overlays, what you try to look for, and I'll say this unofficially, is you look for something that, because they're overlays, that perhaps the development is more remote. It's not something that could happen as soon as like the River Parks and the Pine Plaza. So myself, Mr. Branchow, the Township Committee, we actually, although I can't get into detail, have discussed that as, well, why not that being a site? But as Mr. Faramasca said, there's one, the size could be an issue. I don't want to say specifically right now because we're in discussions trying to figure out what the options would be, and no decision's final until the governing body votes, but publicly. But to that point, also, we need enough density on the site that would replace those 2 overlay zones, and we need, you may have seen, about 99 affordable units to come from whatever properties identified. So, and we need to demonstrate to Fair Share Housing that they don't like to go from one development to another just because you don't want it. They want to see that there's even a better chance that it'll be developed than a prior site. That site alone will not satisfy the obligation. It's a site that, as Committeeman Faramasca said, we've looked at. We're still looking at it. The odds may be against it because it's not big enough. The other concern is if it's vacant, it may be developed at that location a lot faster, and that's not really what we're ultimately looking for. And then finally, it may result in still other lots. And I'd say one other thing because it's really relevant. In 2025, the next round starts, and that's previously been somewhere along the line discussed that the hotel and the car dealership may be a candidate down the road for the next round when you have to come up with that plan A, like the river parks. So maybe that's good for a rainy day down the road for the plan A. The overlays are really more plan B. They don't have to be developed during our time period where you know, if they're not developed, it's not held against you. If River Park or Pine Plaza are not developed, those units, that obligation's going to carry forward, as opposed to the overlay and the unmet need. You just have to rezone, and if it doesn't happen, it carries on. So there's that distinction. So I know it's a lot, but we all are always challenged by affordable housing. But what I would say to you is, you're on target. It's a property we've all discussed and discussed recently in light of the fact that the committee said they were going to go back and see if they could select a different site, and it would have to be approved by the special master and fair share housing. But they're looking at it. There's some difficulty because of the size and the fact that most likely fair share housing and the court is going to want one of the properties that are already active to be part of any kind of change. But it's definitely relevant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You applaud your idea. Nothing better to get some of our issues resolved than were we able to do that, in that area, for sure. Thank you for that. Floor remains open. Doug, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good.
Happy holidays, Merry
Good.
Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I'll keep it quick on this second night of Hanukkah. Just want to thank everyone for your time and service this year. I know I got involved late in the year. A lot going on. Sometimes you never know how you end up getting involved. Never would have expected I'd be here on December 23rd, night before Christmas Eve. Had to drag myself out of the house tonight, but I made it a point to get here. So really appreciate all the time and effort that each of you put in over the course of the year. I know it's a lot to do, so thank you. Want to get that out of the way. To echo some of Terry's sentiments and not to take anything away from anyone's efforts, since I've been involved, the community, and I'm a big community person. I volunteer coaching. I try to be involved with my daughter's activities. The community seems to be challenged right now. A lot of different opinions on where we stand, affordable housing obligations, what's happened, how we've gotten here. And just to echo some of Terry's sentiments, my opinion, I think it may be good to have a change at the mayor position just for that fact, to give, even if it's nothing more than perception, that there's a difference of opinion and a difference of leadership in the chairman, i.e. mayor role. So I just want to mention that. I do know that there's at least one other person interested in that role. I think it might be a good change for the community just to see someone else in that seat. And again, Mayor, I know 30 plus years, no one ever complains about our low taxes, all the work, anyone that's been on the town council, and where we've gotten up to, say, the last 2 or 3 years. I can just see, since my time being involved, there is a lot of uproar, friction in the community, and I don't think that's good for Hanover. So I do think it would be good to see a change for nothing less than that, to get a different perspective from the mayor chairman seat. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Floor remains open.
Definitely the first time you guys have ever seen me. My name is Jeff Basile, 21 Washington Avenue. Just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done. Moved here about 3.5 years ago from Belleville, so I definitely know what high-density living is. Served on their zoning board for 3.5 years. Also served as a president of a condo community for 8 years. Definitely want you guys to just think about what we're doing from a community perspective and putting all these residents in, making sure that we're doing our due diligence on the traffic studies, the school studies, all those different things, because I firsthand had to try to clean that up many years after. And I know probably other people in the room have come from that area of New Jersey. And we're all moving west for a reason. Have a nice lot where I live now, built a beautiful house, enjoy the town, came here for the great low taxes. You guys are doing a fantastic job keeping those down. But just, thinking about that future state of where this community is going, just keeping that in mind when we're approving all these different things. But thank you again for all the time and effort you guys put in.
Thank you for your comments. It is appreciated. And I could assure you that with what this Township Committee has been going through over the last several years, knowing that this fair share housing issue was going to be before us, has been exhaustive studies on their part, both in planning, executive area, administrative area here, subcommittees that have been involved, working with the courts, working with masters, doing everything that we possibly can. I'm proud of what the committee's accomplished and these gentlemen have accomplished. It's one of the lowest, at this point, one of the lowest settlements in the area. I can say that when I look at my neighboring towns. We look at Morris Township, Morris Plains, we look at East Hanover, even Florham Park, and the issues that they're having, and then we look at Hanover, and we pale in the face of the obligations that they have. So we're doing our utmost. We'll do more, and it's unfortunate that we can't get our legislators down in Trenton to read from the same sheet of music as we towns and get legislation to change this so that they don't have to hide behind the courts. But thank you. Floor remains open. No further comments? Motion to close?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Fred.
Yeah. All right. Fred, on the reports from the Township Attorney concerning status of the affordable housing obligations. Fred, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I think my update will be short, but it dovetails on the discussion a little while ago. Really what the challenge is right now is to try to see what in place of the overlay zones that were previously part of the plan would be in the best interest of the township, would be as still that we could still have the senior affordable units as part of that mix, because all the other towns that have the overlay do not have the benefit of just majority of these 66 out of the 99 were senior. So we want to make sure to protect that. We want to make sure too we're trying to find things that has to satisfy the court and fair share housing, but also gives the town an opportunity to take care of the main projects, and this be for another day, so that it's not imminent. But again, it's a challenge. It's a balancing act to find the land and to find the right mix to bring back to fair share housing, bring back to the special master, bring back to the public. That's the challenge right now, and we're in the process of trying to see if we can have some additional time to take a look at that and explore it, and that's what we've done. We've made that request. We have not received any objections from the special master or fair share housing to give us a little more time, but the time's going to be short because we were really supposed to be completed by the end of the year, but we're looking to go into now the first quarter and possibly through the entire first quarter to exhaust this effort, and that's where we are.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, gentlemen, at this point, I'm going to Yeah, I'm going to defer to the administrator on point of order. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Members of the Township Committee, I just wanted to state for the record for the members of the public present and for those who are viewing this at home over YouTube and Channel 21, as you know, we have the reorganization meeting of the Township Committee, which will be held on Friday evening, January 3rd at 6 p.m. here in these chambers. In preparation for that event, members of the Township Committee have been given a list of possible appointments and reappointments that are made by the Township Committee. And that list is available for public inspection from my office and can be made available to anyone. I want to point out that on this list, we have 3 vacancies. The first is the vacant alternate 6 appointment to the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We have Mr. Nardone, who's been a longstanding member of the Planning Board, submitted his letter of retirement, so that is a second opening. And the third is the resignation of Mr. Leone, who has been a longstanding member of the Substance Awareness Council. So at the meeting on the 3rd of January, there might be recommendations at that time from members of the Township Committee for filling those positions. It does not necessarily have to be at the reorganization meeting. It can take place anytime during the year following a review by the Township Committee on the credentials of the individuals who have submitted interest in serving on those committees, and of course on the recommendation of the chairman of the various committees where those vacancies exist. I might also point out that with respect to the position of chairman of the Township Committee, serving as the mayor, and the committee assignments, each member of the Township Committee serves as a department head or a liaison. The Township Committee under law has a right to caucus, to discuss appointments to the mayorship and committee assignments. So, and that can be done as a caucus of the Republican Committee or the Democratic Committee. And that I will stand corrected by Mr. Samrow if I'm incorrect. So, following this meeting tonight, following the close of official business by the Township Committee, the Township Committee can caucus as a Republican group with the Township Attorney and the Business Administrator present to discuss only appointments and assignments to various departments and the mayorship. So I just want to make that perfectly clear on the record that under law, the Township Committee has that right to do that. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mr. Giorgio, the only thing I would add to that is that there wouldn't be a discussion about any other township business.
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right, at this point. Gentlemen, we're going to forego, suggestion was to forego committee reports, if that's acceptable to everybody. Is that so? All right, on that note, and then if you, gentlemen, I'm sure you're all going to want to give our community your own greetings, but from this office, a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa to all of faith, a wonderful holiday as we come into the new year, and wish you a happy, healthy new year from this Township Committee, from this chair. Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. It was as close to despicable as I've ever seen.